want to talk to you about a young man named Alex that I met. It was actually over in a little retreat center just west of Ames, which is where Iowa State University is, and that's where he was going to school at the time. And I was talking about, I was teaching the young men in college, how to be sexually pure and what they need to do and all that. And I saw him standing around. He was waiting till everyone else was gone after I was done. And, people were coming up and thanking me. They were asking me questions, whatever, and then they were leaving. And finally, it's just him and me and Alex. And Alex said, God would never have made me sexual without also giving me a way to use that sexuality and to release the pressures that come with it. He said that would be unfair. And he said to me, there has to be something I'm missing, Fred. There has to be a way of using my sexuality in an approved way that God could approve. And I just don't know what it is. Can you tell me? And the real issue with Alex is that he could not conceive of the fact that we could actually be sexually pure. He felt like there had to be a way that God had given us that was not sinful, but that would release things, okay? And I will tell you that that's always a failed path. You have to understand that God's ways are higher than our ways. And he might actually just ask us to be pure for 20 years. Okay. And from his perspective, it makes perfect sense. From our perspective, we're sitting there screaming it's unfair and can't possibly be true. There's no way on the planet, though, that we can know what God would ask or wouldn't ask of us because his ways are so much higher than ours. So the only way that we can deal with this is to deal with it straight up. Alex was making the same mistake Eve made in the Garden of Eden. She thought God was hiding something good, okay, and that if she would eat that apple, she would literally have that extra knowledge that Satan said she could have. All right. And so she couldn't believe that God would withhold that from her on one level. She was also thinking God's unfair. Why don't I get to know these things that God knows? I mean, that's essentially the temptation. And that's what Alex was making that same mistake. God was being unfair. He's hiding something good from me. And so it ratchets down and cycles down through the ages, doesn't it? About that time, because Jason was about Alex's age, I asked Jason, he's my firstborn son. I asked him about this. I told him about my conversation with Alex. And I said, son, how do you look at this? This whole idea about being made sexual, but then being asked to not use it. And he said, my son is pretty basic. He's just a basic computer engineer. He's not all flowery, okay? This is what he said. I figured that if God asked us to be sexually pure, there must be a way to accomplish it. My job is to find that way and accomplish it. Okay? Now look at the difference between those two. The one was asked by God, I've made you sexual, but I'm asking you not to use it. And his response was, that can't be so. When he asked Jason the same question, Jason said, oh, okay, help me find the way. I'm in. And you see the difference. I can tell you this, after 23 years of ministry, the ones who think in this way, like Jason, that look, I just need to shoulder my weapons and get the job done. I, I don't really understand God's ways, but that doesn't matter. If he says I can learn to control my body, evidently I can. So I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay, that's one way. And that's the guys who think like that win. The guys that think like Alex, they never win. They stay stuck and they're as frustrated as can be, both with themselves and with God.